Hello and welcome to all of you in a panel discussion on blockchain adoption in energy. Are we doing enough? Let's welcome our moderator, Mr. Subhash R. Ghosh, founder Lemon Advisors UK Limited and Technoplat Limited UK. Welcome to our panelists, Mr. Rajesh Rajan, Chief Solutions Officer, Sedina Technologies, Mr. Srinivas Cherla, IIMA. Dear audience, please keep posting your questions in the chat box. Panel may select a few and then address them at the end. Over to you, Mr. Ghosh.
Thank you so much for giving the opportunity. Good afternoon to everybody in India and other parts of the world. I'm Subhash Ghosh, based out of London, and as I was pointed out, I run a sort of tech advisory company by the name Lemon Group and a venture builder called Technoplat. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting discussion today. We're going to talk about adoption of blockchain technology in the energy sector. And to assist me in this discussion, I have my fellow panelist, Srinivas from IIM Ahmedabad, and I have Rafi from the Setina Technologies. Over the next 40 minutes, we could be talking a bit about what are the challenges, what are the upsides, and their experiences in terms of taking the blockchain across the energy sector in India as well as globally. What I would like to do probably before I start, request both my panelists to introduce themselves, a bit of the background, and then we move on. All questions are most welcome. You've got a chat box next to that. Please posting your questions. We'll be taking questions from time to time. So, Srini, can I sort of request you to share a bit about yourself? A brief introduction from you.
Okay. Thanks, Subhash, and thanks to IIMI for this opportunity, wonderful opportunity to talk about blockchain and talk about technologies, energy 4.0 technologies that are very close and integrated today with the energy sector. So a little bit about myself. I'm Srinivas Cherla, and personally, I am a mechanical engineering graduate and have worked in the US for about 10 plus years, and then transitioned, did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and turned into an entrepreneur like every other crazy IIM graduate. Right? I've started working in the energy sector ever since, and have, say, led a few government-funded projects on applications of blockchain in the energy sector. Right? So these are multi-government funded projects that we are working on, wherein we have some technology consultations from the US, from Netherlands, from Norway, and try to adopt the latest and greatest technologies for the Indian energy sector. In this context, I've had the opportunity to interact with some of the key stakeholders, such as the energy regulator, CERC, which is the Central Energy Regulatory Commission, and also worked with POSOCO, which is the Power Systems Corporation of India, which owns the entire national grid, what we call as the physical grid out there. And also we are working with multiple utilities like BRPL, Kolkata Electricity Supply Corporation, BYPL, and Tata Power on identifying those potent use cases which could essentially ignite the blockchain and energy sector revolution. Okay. So this is what we have been working over for the past 3 to 4 years. And we're glad to kind of convey through this forum that we do have two solutions based on blockchain. One is essentially a peer-to-peer energy trading solution. The second thing is a demand-side energy management solution. So both these solutions have been tested with through POCs with utility companies. And I hope through this forum we'll get some chance to share our thoughts and learnings on these implementations and what should be done more to clear the roadblocks, okay, around it.
Right. Thank you, Srini. Thanks for the sort of rich experience. Rajesh, over to you now.
Yeah, hi, thanks a lot. Thanks, Shini, for your introduction. I come from a industry background. For the last 20 years, I've been working in multiple sectors. Worked with the Indian Navy for some time, and then moved on to the corporate world. Has been there for around 16 odd years in the corporate world itself, working on more on the banking and financial sector. I've been a serial entrepreneur. This is my second stint, and during the second stint itself, we thought blockchain is the right technology to look at, and have been working on blockchain technologies since then. I have a couple of live use cases that we already have gone live with in the country and around the globe. A few of them to mention would be supply chain financing, carbon tracking, donation tracking, and a few use cases that we're looking at as we speak on the energy sector. Right. So it's a interesting world to be, because we have lived the blockchain hype days as well, wherein the technology was something which people were trying to understand, probably play around with. Every CEO had only one KRA on his list, probably in the year 2019 or 2018-19, is to have some or the other blockchain use cases that should go live. Now it's a time where people have started understanding the technology, and probably the real use cases are coming up. So definitely an interesting time to be working on this and many other technologies that complement the blockchain technology that we are working on. So yep, that's a short introduction from my side, Subhash.
Awesome. Thanks, Rajesh. Thanks to both of you for sharing your a bit of your journey so far. And now sticking true to the topic of this discussion is blockchain adoption in energy. Are we doing enough? And given the kind of experience with three of us, collective experience that three of us have, which probably would be something around 60 years of experience or more. Uh, I would like to sort of request each one of you to come up with their thought process and what do you think has been the journey of blockchain adoption in the energy sector over the last, let's say, couple of years, 5 years, and how do you think it's going to shape up? And I will take this question to both of you. So maybe I can start with Srini. Srini, what is your take? What do you think has been a journey so far? It could be a bit of a mix of your experiences as well as a bit of industry experiences. Maybe you can share that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Subhash, Rajesh, and to all the audience here, energy sector as a sector itself is pretty regulated. It has emerged over the time. It does what it is good at, that is distributing the energy that is generated centrally, and makes it available to everyone at the grid edge, that is consumers like you and me, who are sitting in our house and switching on the fan or AC and enjoying the light, right? So it has been built over the last 100 plus years, and it does exceedingly well, I should say, in the in transforming the natural resources into energy and then distributing it to the down to the downstream grid. Um, but then the technology adoption itself has been limited on the electricity front and not as much in the IT front. So other than the base CRM systems or ERP systems, integrations with more recent IoT-based solutions or NG 4.0 based solutions are limited. That is, in a nutshell, if I have to say, where is the energy sector today? The energy sector today is just beginning to realize that beyond the traditional IT systems that support their consumers, support their billing, support their regular business operations, they do have a lot more in terms of technology that can aid in their day-to-day operations, that can improve the processes, the energy sector processes as well. For instance, if I were to bring a few specific use cases, if I were to highlight a few of them, billing is something that has been disrupted through the corona crisis. Right? So utility companies were unable to reach out, go and take physical meter reading at the consumer places for a couple of months. So they started pro rata billing, or taking previous year energy consumption and billing consumers and resorting to all sorts of approximations to estimate the energy bills. Um, that is because, one, they didn't have automated infrastructure at the consumer end to really say furnish the energy consumption of the consumer over a month. Okay. And they resorted to new techniques wherein you could just snap the photo of a meter and share it across the web, doing things of that sort. Right. Use cases like billing and metering can typically add anywhere from maybe 5 to 7% in terms of improve the operational efficiency from 5 to 7%. Today, the energy grid is in India specifically, I can say we have anywhere between 10% to 25% energy pilferage happening. Okay. Part of it is technical losses, that is energy lost in the wire in the form of heat, in the form of resistance, right? Other things. But there's also energy loss in terms of non-technical, which is billing inefficiencies, which is theft of energy pilferage and those things. So blockchain in billing and metering is one specific use case which would see a lot of value, but then there are also things that need to fall in place before that can happen. Yeah, which is penetration of smart infrastructure, there is smart grids and other things. Very quickly, one or two more use cases would be sort of renewable energy certificates, which is an industrial use case that the network operators and industries would be subscribing to. And we have seen a lot of adoption globally on this one. And finally, the third thing would be energy market integrations, wherein there's a lot of data being generated by India Energy Exchange or the other energy exchanges in India, which can be brought onto blockchain.
Super. Thanks, Srini. Thanks. I'll now move over to Rajesh as well. Rajesh, what is your take? What has been your journey so far on this one? And what do you think what do you think we've done so far?
So great. So when I look at blockchain and in the energy sector, for me, the rate at which we are moving has been pretty slow, right? Where the adoption has been there, but then the kind of adoption that we need to do is not at the pace at which it should move, right? The primary reason that I feel for that is it's not only blockchain as a technology that needs to be adopted, but the renewable energy in industry itself is finding ways and mechanism to be adopted at a large scale, right? While we have large industries and corporates working on this sector, we don't have those rural adoptions coming up at the pace at which it should come, right? But I believe we are at that cusp wherein both technology and adoption of renewable energy is peaking, and if it is done right, and if the technology is understood well, like Srini was mentioning, there are a lot of use cases that are coming up. If the technology is understood well, we should be moving at a faster rate, right? We talk about grids, but when we start talking about microgrids, when the rural areas of the country start adopting renewable energy, and they look at it as a source of income, right? That is where things will start really changing. Today, even when we look at the urban areas, right, and we talk about electronic vehicles coming in, that's again we're talking about making use of renewable energy, and if the adoption increases, of course, generating that energy itself becomes a bigger challenge, and if it can be done in a way wherein uh, in a microgrid kind of fashion, wherein uh, for example, if I have to say, if the in the urban area, if the societies or the large buildings and areas that have a lot of towers, if they can set up energy, solar energy kind of panels and stuff, they can have this what do you say, consumption done at the source itself. As rightly said by Srini, most of the time the energy loss is in terms of transmission, right? Now, if we can have energy generated and consumed, right? So it's generated on the rooftop and consumed at the basement, at the parking area. That itself will have a lot of use, right? It's for the people wherein they are trying to save a lot of money. It is for the people who are trying to invest. Like it can be an alternative source of investment. Like if people start looking at renewable energy as alternate source of income, and at the same time investment, and at the same time if they are confident on the metering and billing aspect, wherein whatever energy that they have generated, and if they can get monetized that, that will make the difference. So, and that is where blockchain as a technology will definitely play a very large role, and the technology is evolving, so it will play a very large role in terms of integrating the uh, the the source of energy with the mechanism to store the energy, with the mechanism to meter the energy that they are generated, right? So that's what I feel. We are at that cusp wherein things are changing, and globally today when we talk about renewable energy, it is getting adopted at a faster rate, right? People talk about sustainable energies and renewable energies a lot these days. Adoption has increased a lot. I come from Kerala, where basically solar energy is something which is being talked a lot these days. But there are a lot of political angles to that, but nevertheless, they have been talked a lot. People are adopting, and when I say the rural, what do you say, crowd is trying to adopt and seeing it as a source of energy, a source of income. Sorry. So,
Right.
and that helps. And if
Right.
this spreads across the country, definitely we see a big wave coming in terms of renewable energy and blockchain being used in tandem. Yeah.
So just one question, and I think Srini sort of pointed out something very important, which is pilferage and loss of energy. Now, my question is for you, Rajesh. While there are players who are already using the technology and everything, what is your thought in terms of how do you think it can create a better impact as it is in non-metro cities concerned or non-metro locations concerned? Uh, One is on the understand distribution and logistics, but do you think there are any other impacts which can sort of create bigger results?
Definitely. Can I explain that with a kind of a storyline which will be easier to understand?
Yeah, sure.
So let's say farmers today, right? Like we have heard enough what do you say issues the farmers are facing. Uh, so they need to have alternative source of income other than farming and stuff. So, and they have enough place where they can actually put up solar panels and stuff on their rooftops, on their farmlands, and generate these energies, right? So if we have a mechanism, that's where I was talking about having a microgrid and stuff. So if you have a mechanism wherein these farmers can produce these renewable source of energy, store it and consume it there itself, right? When I say consume it there itself, instead of passing on to a larger grid, which is also a possibility, right? But they actually have it within the village itself. If they start consuming that and they get paid for it, right? That is where they will actually start looking at it more seriously. So the incentives and monetization of whatever they do is what they should be uh, like motivated for getting into this renewable energy and using technology, right? And the technology should be like for the rural world, it should be something which probably they don't have to bother about. Technology should be there, and they should not be even feeling like they're making use of technology. So it has to be simplified at that front. That's one
Exactly.
important aspect,
That's
right?
very important.
Apart from that, when we look at so in the story that I'm trying to narrate is like farmers setting up solar panels, generating electricity and contributing it to the village itself, and if possible, if they are in excess of energy, contributing to the larger grid, right? And if the metering of this energy that is generated is done, so they can do it for their personal consumption, and they can probably sell the energy. While selling this energy, the kind of money that they get, right? We are actually talking about having wallets. So I'm sure uh, cryptocurrency is a taboo these days, but then there will be a time when government will come up with their own blockchain currencies, and we'll see it sooner or later. But when it comes in, so the energy that is getting generated, and if you can convert it directly into what do you say, adding onto your wallets, right? So your energy wallets, and if you can use it within the village economy, right? So the story that I had always narrated is like, if I have, it's just like a bank account wherein I have my balance getting increasing every time I generate electricity. So and this balance is something which I can go and use for probably buying grocery, or trading of for some consumables that I would like to have, buy and sell within the village economy, right?
Right.
So those days are, while we talk today, would look like it is quite distant, but I see it in next 2 years, wherein when the government policies will come in, right, these kind of adoptions will start increasing. And in the earlier point that I was trying to point out, wherein in the urban areas, right? So if on the rooftop of your society, if you are generating electricity, right, and it's being consumed on the basement, you can see that it is an alternate source of investment. Today we invest in stocks. Like, instead of that, if we start investing in renewable energy, and we see that the benefits are coming out right off from your rooftop to your basement as fast as that, right? People will, who have extra money in hand, would like to go ahead and make those kind of investments.
Right.
So
Uh,
I do see a lot of change coming up.
Thanks, Rajesh. The reason I was looking into it is I got a very important question out here, and I think that's very relevant as well in the current topic what we're discussing. There's a question which come in when somebody's asking, can you please share with us a few successful case studies from your own experiences from the worldwide where it has brought a different perspective? I think this is the right time we should address this question as well. So maybe I'll start with Srini. Srini, can you share one or two very briefly kind of questions? We've got 90 minutes in hand, so maybe a couple of minutes you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I think the couple of use cases where blockchain has been very successfully demonstrated in the energy sector is renewable energy certificates. It is called by different names across the globe in North America and Europe and India. But essentially what it means is companies trying to offset their carbon emissions by purchasing renewable energy certificates from generators who are generating clean energy. It could be solar, large utility scale solar power plants or other generators, right? So in this case, the use case of blockchain is very simple, that it is being used to track the origin of energy, or as they say in tech terminology, provenance. Okay, so it is being used for the provenance of that particular energy. And once the renewable energy certificate gets used, it is of no value again. Okay, so issuing of renewable energy certificates based on the amount of energy that is generated, and then exhausting that value of the renewable energy certificate once it is purchased by a company. So here it is twofold. There is one, renewable energy certificate purchase. Second thing is also monitoring the amount of greenhouse gases or pollution that this company is generating, and tallying it against the renewable energy certificates that is purchased. Okay, so this is one specific use case wherein wherein blockchain can be applied very elegantly, because it has multiple stakeholders involved, multiple generators, and multiple people who are willing to purchase these ICs.
Super. Thank you. Rajesh, your take. Any
Just to
experiences?
add on to that, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So we have been working on use cases wherein we're talking about green bonds, right? Wherein the green bonds are issued, and people who are investing in these green bonds would definitely like to see that the investment is used for green purpose, right? So as Srini mentioned, you have to track and give complete transparency, and there has to be a complete auditability of how this energy, or how this investment is being used for generating green energy and consuming the same, right? So we talk about SDG goals as well, so sustainable development goals, which the United Nations have set, wherein for the energy sector, if we are using renewable energy, we can have these credits given, the SDG credits given for consuming this renewable energy. and tracking and traceability of the energy generated and consumed by the industry. So green bonds are something which we are definitely seeing as a good use case, which is coming up across the investment.
Right, right. And since you mentioned, I think since you mentioned, you spoke about wallet a couple of minutes back, which is an important thing. And I was about to ask a question from my own, but someone asked a question out here as well. And I'll just read it as it is. Blockchain has been used as a DLT, which is distributed ledger technology for energy financing. Okay, which is a big thing
Right.
coming now. How do you think it can be further utilized to support the climate change? A little broad question, but I will probably sort of take. Maybe Rajesh, you can go first on this.
From a climate change perspective, right? How do I look at it? Is basically uh, we are in an era of social, what to say, media, wherein we like to publicize whatever we do, anything that we do on the social media, and we are somewhere looking out of getting more recognition on the digital platform, right? So it'll have a multiplying effect if I start saying that, okay, I have started earning credits for contributing to the climate change. That can be by making use of renewable energy. Like for example, if I invest in a e-vehicle and I stop spending on petrols and diesels, right? Somewhere I'm contributing to the climate change in a big way. And if these contributions can be recorded as some kind of social credits, which we can flaunt, right? Which we can flaunt, and then it will have a multiplying. And what I'm saying is the current generation's trend, right? So they like to flaunt anything and everything on the social media. So if I do that, the multiplying factor or effect that it will create will have many more contributions coming from the people at large who are trying to earn this carbon credits, and these carbon credits, if it can be monetized, and that's where the wallet part comes in, right? So you earn credit. So we are working with in Spain with the Madrid government, wherein we are talking about earning such kind of credits and then getting monetized, or probably trading off with any government initiatives, probably some tax rebates, or probably traveling in a local transport, which government owned local transport, you can just trade it off. You can buy tickets for that, right? And parking, if you have to spend on parking lots, you don't have to, because you can just trade it off with your credits that you have. And at the same time, your social reputation is getting built somewhere, because
Right,
the
and that's you
impact
post
that,
another thing.
yes, the impact that you are going to make, probably with the minor micro contributions that you do, will be, it will not must, it will be much larger than what you can actually think of,
Sure.
right? So if there is a way of even measuring this impact, and giving you that high in a social world, that is going to change, because I believe people have to come in and contribute before we see the effect. And
Right.
for that, this is the mechanism. So blockchain as a technology gives you that kind of mechanism, wherein you can have complete transparency, complete traceability and auditability of whatever you do.
Got it. And to Srini now, Srini, before I move into the next question, what is your take on using blockchain or DLT rather for energy financing?
Yes.
Very, yeah.
Yeah, so we have seen multiple use cases here. One very successful use case again is crowdfunding of solar energy assets, and this is particularly relevant to sub-Saharan Africa and other low-income areas wherein people don't have that expendable money to invest in green energy, right? There are agencies, charitable associations, and other associations which are coming forward to fund these distributed energy generation sources, but then they want to ensure that the funds they are giving out are used for the appropriate purpose, right? And so crowdfunding of renewable really kind of solves that problems. One, because you don't need any institutional investor anymore for funding such smaller projects, which are not typically attractive for institutional investors anyways, because they don't give them the kind of ROI on the investments that they make. So then smaller, say, donors could come forward and invest in these projects. The projects can be tracked from start to end through supply chain solutions of blockchain. The energy generated by each and every individual electricity panel could be traced in a very transparent manner, and that satisfies the requirement of the donors, that okay, they see what they have put in versus what is being delivered. And so the project, the proof of project working and project viability is demonstrated through blockchain. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. So I've got 10 minutes in hand now, and I have two important questions which I had in mind. I'll sort of take these two questions one by one in 5 minutes each. Uh, if I quickly ask you, Fini, rather start with what are the hindrances to the growth for the deployment of blockchain in the energy sector? It can be India as a case study or globally. 5 bullet points. The hindrances to growth. What would be your take?
Yeah. So as far as the challenges go, there are multiple, of course, but then we have to break them down into maybe business and economic challenges, which
Five.
is, yeah, which would be the business contracts or business logic being put into blockchain, which could be very complicated, right? Second thing would be cost of blockchain technology as a whole. The validation needs to be there as to how much it would cost to implement such a solution for a specific use case. Technically, I think technological challenges come largely in the infrastructure standpoint. That is, do we have the foundational infrastructure to support blockchain? Energy sector, it means smarter grids, smart meters. Legal and regulatory, right? India is a country which takes a lot of time for legal reforms, and energy sector being also very politically sensitive, it's going to mean it will take even longer, right? So if, that's one area that is really kind of stifling innovation in the sector, I should say. And beyond that, the last thing is concerns around blockchain technology as a whole. That is, one, is it environmentally friendly, and two, in terms of validations existing out there, which are actually showing how blockchain came in and solved a particular operational challenge or a particular specific use case of energy sector, not the halabala that okay, blockchain will revolutionize and you have to invest in so much to get an outcome. But energy sector players have matured enough, and they now understand, and they're seeing through it and asking, okay, show me exactly a very specific use case. That is, if I implement blockchain at my substation, what is the outcome that I get? Okay, show me how much cost and energy savings I have, how much cost reduction I have, how much process improvement I have. If you are able to show that, then they're willing to put their money on blockchain.
Got it. Perfect. Rajesh, your take. 5 bullet points on hindrances to the growth.
So a few of them have already been talked by Srini. So I'll just restrict to three, which according to me are important, right? So to begin with, it will be government regulations and guidelines. So we are talking a lot about renewable energy, and if we have to do, and by 2030, if we have a goal that most of the energy consumed in the country has to be a renewable energy, we'll be doing a lot of contribution to the climate change. Right, we really don't need the US president to come and say that we will back you. It will be the country that will back our country itself. We don't need backing from anybody else. So
Right.
we need regulatory and government guidelines that needs to be spelled out, which is easy to understand and easy to adopt. The second is again, is adoption for me, right? And it has to be adopted on a wide scale, both in the urban and rural areas. And the motivation to adoption should be there. So why should a person adopt renewable energy? And see, for me, whenever I talk blockchain, I actually see it as a catalyst. It is not that the blockchain is going to solve your renewable energy problems. It is renewable energy adoption that you are going to do with blockchain that is going to solve the problem. right? So I don't see blockchain, because technology will keep changing. Probably 3 years down the line, we might not be talking blockchain in its current shape. It might be something else. But then today, yes, we have an answer with those technologies, so we can. So adoption is the second point that would which I see. We need to simplify the adoptions. And the third point, as I said, I want to see renewable energy and blockchain contributing to my investments. So whenever I make any investment, if I can see this as a new opportunity to invest. We talked about crowdfunding, right? So Srini just put it in the right words. People are looking at crowdfunding for getting into renewable energy and stuff. That's the way to go, right? So if I start putting my money on my rooftop, right, and see that it's giving me enough returns, why would I not do that? And that's where the technology will help. So regulation, adoption, and investment opportunity are the 3 points that I look at.
Excellent. Super. 3 minutes ago, this is going to be to my last question, and make it really quick. If I give a magic wand to both of you, and hey, look, take this magic wand and change the scenario, what are top 3 things you would like to do?
Yeah. So if I can go first,
Yeah,
Subhash? Yeah. I think what I would do is, number one, erase the memory and negativity with around ICOs and Bitcoin. Okay, that's one. Certainly, make sure that the regulations are standardized, and all of a sudden we have acceptance and all the regulations are sorted out. Okay, that's the second thing that I would like to do. And finally, I think the third one would be have 1 or 2 very strong validated cases of blockchain, which could be used as showcase for everyone, right? So I think if we have these 3 things with a magic wand, I'm pretty sure from tomorrow we'll start seeing a more wider acceptance of blockchain as a technology. Certainly, again, businesses, they're looking at economic gains, and that's what needs to be given.
Wonderful. Thanks, Srini. Rajesh, quick one. We've got exactly 1 minute to go.
Yeah, so I think Srini covered all. For me, it is the cost of adopting the technology that needs to be brought down, and the investment that has to come from investors in terms of startups adopting this technology. So that's one which I would like to change, because there are a lot of ideas, crazy ideas, which can be implemented, and there are many of them which will fail. But then the failures will give you a lot of learnings. So we need to allow people to explore the technology, not only from a cryptocurrency or a ICO point of view, but in a real sense, solving enterprise problems. And if that can be done, I think we are sorted out.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I mean, I guess this is probably the end of the thing. I really, really would have loved to sort of continue the discussion, but because of time constraint. But first of all, thanks to IAMI for organizing this session. Thanks to Srini. Thanks to Rajesh for taking the time out, join this sort of exciting panel. And again, I would like to say, I really would have loved to continue the session. Time has its own challenges, but I guess some good points we captured up. Sakshi, I'm going to have the recording of this.
Yes, sure. We'll send that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks to, and have a good day, and a part of the world you are in.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, audience. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Subhash, Srishti, and Rajesh. It was a pleasure interacting with you all.
Thank you to all the panelists for such a wonderful discussion. Thank you, audiences, for being with us. Hope you enjoyed the session and found it insightful. Please stay tuned. We have many more interesting sessions lined up for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.